Hello YouTube, it's William. Out here beating on a knife. Well, if you saw the video before this, you know what I think about batoning and all this other stuff. But I am testing a knife, and I know that you guys, I say you guys, a lot of you, you're gonna baton with it. So when I'm testing new designs, I actually test them to extreme. Now, as you saw me batoning this piece of pin oak, this is seasoned pin oak, and it is not the easiest wood to split in the world. See how all the little fibers and everything here, little hairy looking stuff, all that just binds together and it just don't want to split. So you have to really wail on it to get it to split. So it's not the optimum wood to be batoning with in the first place. So if there's another choice that you have as far as batoning, then I would recommend you take it. But as I said in the other video, I don't advocate batoning. You know, there was a lot of comments about well, 1095 I handle it, this and that I handle it, and you know, it depends on the tool and a lot of other stuff. Let me just say this. It does depend on steel. It depends on a lot of things, thickness and a bunch of other stuff. But irregardless of that, vibration is still there. Harmonics is still there. If there's a weakness in that steel, that's going to find it. And most times, it is at the most inopportune time to have a failure. So knives, all knives will baton, like I said. How long it will baton depends on many things. But each time you baton that knife, you're creating fatigue in that steel. Now, how long it'll hold up to it, who's to say? It may be a problem that your great-grandchildren have to deal with. I don't know. It depends on a lot of things. So anyway, with that said, I don't advocate it. I think that there's better tools out there, and I said that in the other video. I don't want to keep harping on this because I pretty much covered everything there. And if you want a baton and you know, it's your knife, do what you want to do with it, by all means have at it. And so when I test a knife, I test it batoning. Now all that tells you is yes, it will baton that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. How long it will last, like I said, depends on many things. Your technique, what wood you select, how hard you have to hit it. I mean, just a lot of things. Now, every time you baton, you roll the dice. Such is nature. Bridges have to be inspected because of harmonics and vibration. You know, it gets everything. So you have to abide by the laws of physics and everything else that goes with that, because it's there. We're not going to change it. Alright, so while I'm sitting here whittling on this stick, let's get off that batoning thing. I mean, you know, let's talk about what I expect out of a knife, because that's what I'm doing. I'm testing a knife, researching a new design, or and so instead of going specifics, because it's different, and I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, the wind's picking up, but let's just talk about basics, what I expect out of a basic knife. I mean, we're not talking skinners or fillets or anything like that, not specific knives. Let's just go with the basic expectations from a knife. When I pick up a knife and I'm going to use it for general purpose, what do I expect out of that knife? The primary thing that I expect is I expect that knife to be comfortable. I want to be able to grip that knife in many different positions and it be comfortable. Not only comfortable, but I want it to be secure. because as I've said 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times more, the most safe knife is the most secure knife, the one that you control. And what works for me is contours, and I'm using a black handle knife against a backdrop. So a handle that's contoured has better places for me to grip, to hold on to. One that's textured, like a unpolished canvas micarta, something that has grip to it. I want something that is secure, and those contours, no matter if I'm pushing or pulling, those contours in that handle allows me for a secure grip. Now, if you're using a round handle or a broom, what they call broom handles, or any of that, then there's nothing for you to hold on to, and the blade tends to rotate in your hand. It'll slip in your hand if you're not careful. There's a lot of things that could go wrong very easily with those type of handles in my experience. So I prefer a handle that has contours, that has a little bit of a flat part here, that's not completely round, but is completely comfortable. The ergonomics of it is something that is just going to be there when I need it, okay? Now, the second part I expect out of a knife is I expect it to slice. I mean, I have all kinds of tools for the splitting of wood and firecraft and all this other stuff, but I want my knife to slice. I want it to be able to take it in the kitchen and slice those vegetables and do all this other stuff. Now, this morning I was doing, with this knife, I was doing leather just to see how well it sliced, and you can see here it slices very well. There is a part here that's a little bit thicker that creates a little bit of a wedge, and you want that if you're going to use a little bit of baton with it, which I expect this knife to be baton. So I expect a portion of the blade to be a wedge, and this portion right here where the scandy is, and that's a wedge. So you want to split things apart with that. But this part here is very thin, so you want that to be able to slice, and that's what I expect out of most of my knives, is slicing. I try to combine a lot of things to make this knife more versatile. So you've got the splitting power here and the slicing power up here. But in general, we're talking in general. In general, I want a knife that's going to cut, it's going to slice. I can lay it down and I can get those very fine curls, like so. So that blade is laid down, in the thinner and the finer you get those feathers or curls when you have to get a fire going, the better off you are, because they catch a flame easier, they catch a spark easier. Okay, so you want a knife that you can get those very, very fine feathers or curls. I want a knife that's going to hold an edge for a reasonable amount of time. Now you get some knives that just hold an edge for a long time. But the problem is trying to resharpen them. So I want something that's going to hold an edge for a reasonable amount of time, but yet recovery is very simple and very easy. That the sharpening part, I mean, you just lay it on. I use diamond stones because my blades are typically in a 60+ range. So a lot of the natural stones are just these knives will just eat them up. So I use a lot of diamond stones to sharpen them. But I mean, I want a knife that's easily maintained. So you just lay it on the stone and have the same angle all the way through, and it doesn't take a whole lot of strokes to bring that edge back. So recovery is a major thing with me. So that's the reason I love AEBL. I mean, it holds a fantastic edge. It's sharper than any steel that I've ever used. Even some of the crucible steels, the stainless steels, I mean, this steel is right there with them as far as sharpness. Now, it may not be as impact resistant as, say, the crucible 35 VNs and things like that, but you're not going to notice it in day-to-day use. I mean, you're just not going to notice it. The only time that you're going to see a difference is in lab testing, and we've done that. I mean, you know, if you go back through my videos, you'll see me and my team, we thoroughly test these knives to make sure my heat treat is proper, to make sure that the blade geometry is going to work from what we need, and so on and so forth. So, but the basic need of a knife is I want it to be able to hold an edge for a reasonable amount of time, and the recovery is very quick. And that's the reason I love AEBL. Even testing it against my 01, and my 01, if you have any of my knives, you know that my 01 is just there's not any better out there. And the AEBL from my proprietary heat treat is gets sharper than the 01. I mean, it feels sharper. It cuts better than the 01, and it holds an edge about 30% longer than the 01. Doing actual test cuts comparisons, it'll last about 30% longer, but it sharpens about in the same amount of strokes as the 01. So I think you have all the best of the worlds in that one steel. Now, the other part of that is blade shape and everything else. It's kind of variable. Thickness of blade, it depends on the use of the knife. Now, if you look at a lot of our forefathers, I mean, the thickest knife they had for various reasons was 1/8 of an inch. I mean, that was a thick knife. But of course, they had belt axes and everything else to be splitting wood and all the heavier tasks. They expected the belt knife to be a game processor, a kitchen knife, something that's going to process veggies and all this other good stuff, and not go out there and beat on stuff and whittle and that type of thing. They had other tools for that. But the belt knife was something that was going to process your game, butcher your game, do your kitchen chores, that type of stuff. So they had real thin blades for that. So that's my thoughts on the basic needs of a knife. Now, on this one, when I had it up at Blade, and Blackie and Dan, they played with it, whittled a little bit with it, and I think this is going to be the last model because I'm out here testing it, and it's been proven very, very nice so far. What I did was I extended. Dan said that when he was doing the reverse cut, when he held it like this, and he wanted to do the chest lever like so, what was happening was this part here, right here, this part here was digging into his hand. So I extended this out a little bit longer. It's about I don't know, 1/4, 3/8, something like that, a little bit longer. So when you grip it in your hand in that reverse grip, this little curve right here hits you in the right place in your palm, in that meaty part right there. So it's very comfortable. And that's primarily what I was testing out here, is making sure that was going to be work, and it does. The other thing was, I wanted to make sure, since I extended the handle, I want to make sure that the balance was still there, and it is. Balance is right there. See how it's balanced? Again, if a knife isn't balanced, another one of those basic things, if a knife isn't balanced, then it's going to fatigue your arm, because you're constantly trying to work that knife against whatever's heavier. If the blade is heavier, then you're trying to compensate for that heavy blade, or if the handle's heavy, then you're trying to compensate for that. But if it's balanced correctly, you're not compensating for that. Okay? So it's comfortable to use. But anyway, that's what I've been doing out here today, and I thought maybe I'd just kind of let you guys see where I'm at on this knife, because I'm getting a lot of questions on it. People want to know when they can get it and all this other stuff. And I'm about 99.8% ready to let this thing go. But there's a few more tests that I want to do, but I think that we're almost there. So it won't be much longer. So keep an eye out. Watch the website or this YouTube channel, because You never know. You may look up one morning, and if you click that little bell, your little phone just a ding, 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 ding. Alert, alert, alert. There is a new video from William. And you guys need to subscribe. Share the video. Get the word out. Let people know that there is a fantastic YouTube channel on the internet about knives, and there's this idiot out there, and all he talks about is knives. He's a nut. But get the word out. Share on all the social medias that you're on. And all that good stuff. Make sure that you subscribe. Click on the little bell. Tell your friends. Till the next one, you guys get in the backyard whittle on a stick. Make sure you take a child with you, get the opportunity. And teach that child about that great outdoors. How to build a fire, how to whittle on a stick. Teach them about knives. They're going to use knives at some point in their life. Whether it's in the kitchen, they're going to have to cook something, they're going to have to spread that mayo on that sandwich. They're going to use a knife at some point in their life, so teach them how to use it properly, and maybe they won't hurt themselves so bad. It's the unskilled that gets hurt. So everybody gets hurt. Let's rephrase that. You're going to get cut. I mean, but the more skilled you become, the less drastic those cuts become, and so you need a band-aid rather than an ambulance. Okay. Let's keep it at band-aids and no ambulances. Alright, with that said, don't forget those band-aids and lots of knives, and we'll catch you guys again soon. Bye-bye.